Hello, good morning, everyone. This is welcome to another edition of the Blank Canvas webinar. This is our 13th edition, our first since October last year. I will take a break because I wanted to come back with something very special. Dare I say we have done that. We have with us today Morenike Olusanya. She's an award-winning visual artist, an illustrator, and she's known for working and providing a safe space for the diverse representation of Black women. She has a very prestigious portfolio, different brands like Hulu, Penguin Random House, and she is award-winning 2023 Future Awards for Art and Literature, 2025 GCI 10 Outstanding Young Persons Honorary. I could go on, but I think another thing that you people might know her for, she's the co-founder and CMO of Bawsty. Morenike, a pleasure to have you with us.
Wow, thank you. What's an introduction?
You fast surpassed it, so it's a pleasure to have you with us. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. I think I even forgot to mention my own name in my excitement to introduce you. So my name is Paula Boni. I representing Vascan on the call. We wanted to have a creative on the call today because just built a product called Vascan for Creatives, and we are trying to center and focus on creatives. So we changed it up for this edition. We wanted to have something special. It's a Q&A session, so people have sent in their questions, and I think there's been an array of questions, interesting, diverse. But I think I'll just start to take it from somewhere simple. So first of all, thank you to everyone that submitted questions. I think the first question I'd like to ask is what keeps you going? How you work, how you present yourself, how you get seen, and like how you make it sustainable in terms of a lot of creatives struggle with consistency. Some people don't want to show up every day, even though they have to. But what keeps you going? What makes you keep showing up every day? What makes it a decision to say, okay, Morenike has to show up today, even when she doesn't want to.
Uh, that's a really good question. Um, First of all, I think because I'm sort of popular on social media, it gives an illusion that I show up every day. Some days are very difficult for me. I don't show up every day. I don't know that it's possible. But when I do show up, what keeps me going is that I remember why I started. Um, so I do a lot of things. I'm very multifaceted. So I have like my clothing brand, fashion, influencing, and then art. Um, I have struggled a lot with balancing everything. Unfortunately, I'm one of those people that cannot do one thing at a time. So I juggle a lot of things. So for my art, what keeps me going is just I try not to forget why I started. I try not to forget the passion behind why I put things out there, the reason I started in the first place. And also just the I'm inspired by other artists. So seeing other artists do their thing, consistently show up for themselves, put their things out there, I find that inspirational and that keeps me going as well. When it comes to my life, my hobbies, my business, bossy, for example, just seeing the customers be happy with the clothes, seeing the customers want them, seeing that we're actually solving a problem for bossy women in this part of the world keeps me going. Other parts of my life with my hobbies, it's just fun and exciting. I mean, just the excitement of it alone keeps me going. But I guess the summary of everything is just staying grounded and not forgetting why you started in the first place just keeps me going.
Okay, thank you very much for that. I think maybe we could say that social media is a gift and a curse. Maybe having that popularity makes it so that you can't afford to let people down. So perhaps it's a gift in that essence. But you touched on something that I want to follow up on, which actually leads to my next question. Like showing up is one thing, but sustaining that alongside everything else you do is another. So how do you manage everything you do so well? Or maybe, as you said, how do you create the illusion that you're managing everything you do so well?
I'm constantly fighting for my life. um, how do I manage everything so well? Am I managing it so well? I'm trying my best. But I think putting structure in place when it comes to like all the things that I have to do, my responsibilities and my commitments, it helps me to manage everything. I have a to-do list. My calendar is like if I'm going to spend time with family, I'm putting it on the calendar. So just knowing what I have to do within the next hour, within the next day, within the next week, helps me to balance everything. When I first started my other business, I found myself struggling a lot with the other things I do. My art especially and my art career suffered a lot. That is sort of expected. Because when you have like another baby business, you sort of have to focus on it. But something that has helped me right now to create the balance is just creating specific time to create. I'm not that kind of person. I didn't used to be that kind of artist. I would think that, oh, why did I have to schedule art? I just need to be able to wake up and draw or do all of those things or just sit down and generate ideas. But now that I have a lot of responsibilities and there's so many things on my head, I've found myself having to schedule particular hours in the week and create something, even if it's not flowing, just sit down and create something. And then that has helped me to just balance everything out, following a routine, especially knowing that on this day, between this time and this time, this is what I have to do. So that way, nothing really suffers.
Yeah, I just hold the load that you. And so, but managing your time, your energy is a big part of growth. But I think to my next question, people would like to know what actually moved the needle for you in your career. So maybe we should talk about visibility. As an independent artist, how did you scale your visibility enough to attract well-paying clientele? And does having a niche help?
I think how I started gaining visibility was that I was just constantly putting myself out there when I first started, when I started practicing art seriously. I was just always putting myself out there. It also has a lot to do with positioning. I positioned myself as a specific type of artist because I knew the kind of work that I wanted to come to me. So like putting things like book cover illustrator, portrait artist, or things like that in my bio on all my social media communicated to the player to come to me that this is what I do. So naturally, people that wanted work like that just tilted towards me. I was able to, I think me being able to scale my art career and visibility on the internet has a lot to do. I mean, it's a mix of hard work and luck as well, because I mean, there was parts where I was constantly working and putting stuff out there, but then there was like, I guess God or the universe just doing its own thing as well with organizations that I didn't think would ever see me, seeing me, giving me a shout out, mentioning me everywhere. That connected me to a broader audience. So yeah, that was how I was able to do that.
Okay.
And just being consistent, really.
Okay. All right. Yeah, consistency really is key. Well, I mean, since we're talking about visibility, I think the next natural question becomes, what exactly am I showing people and how do I present it properly? So I think now I have a portfolio question for you. How do you build a portfolio to present it properly to, the different brands that you hope to work with or the ones you're working with, and the different disciplines of arts and creativity that you take part in? How do you present that properly?
I think it's highly dependent on what exactly you want. I don't think there is one way to present yourself. I think the first step is figuring out what you want, the kind of style you want to practice, how you want to be seen by the people that you want to approach you, and then you build and create a portfolio around that. I think it is very important for your portfolio to be able to communicate what exactly you do, like and communicate it in as little time as possible, because people want to look at your website and get the idea that this is exactly what you do without like spending so much time on it. You should share your processes, you should share some information about yourself, but basically, like I said before, just positioning. If you want to be known for a specific thing, then talk about that thing more or put out work that is related to that particular thing. Put out processes, put out your thought process and how you started from plan A to plan B, And all of that should be on your portfolio. You should also communicate kind of work you're open to, the kind of work you'd like to explore, what you're curious about as well, but just putting it in a way that is very presentable, that's like high quality pictures. If you're going to put artworks there, high definition digital copies of your artworks, and don't make it too complex to navigate. If I want to look at an artist's portfolio and I have to click multiple links, or if I cannot see what I'm looking for within the first few seconds, then it's the experience is already bad. I don't know that I would be curious enough to want to dig more into what you do.
I think it was yeah, I was saying that it's one thing because you had just finished the question about portfolio presentation and putting yourself out there. So I wanted to follow that up with what is the best strategy to attract institutional support and attention? Because I think it's one thing to position yourself for businesses, position yourself for collaboration with other artists and things like that. But it's another thing entirely to position yourself to institutional support, government support, and that kind of attention. So, what advice or tips can you give about that?
Unfortunately, in this part of the world, we do not have a lot as as creatives. I don't know that. Can you hear me? Okay, great. I don't know that there is a lot of support to that is offered to creatives in this part of the world. What I always advise creatives to do is to search for that support and not focus on looking for support. Like this support can be with visibility, it can be monetary, like financial. Don't focus on the support. Don't focus on searching for that support in this part of the world. Like go out there. Grants for creatives. There are residencies, exhibitions that you can apply to be part of, publications that you can apply to be part of, and all of those things doesn't have to be tied to this country. Apply for them, look for opportunities in other parts of the country, opportunities that will give you exposure, opportunities that will broaden the way you think and connect you to other people that do the same thing you do in other parts of the world. I think that is very, very important. Something that helped me to scale my practice and even my skills as an artist is working with people that are not locals, people that think about life differently, that think about creativity and creating differently. So I think one of my biggest or my best advice would be not to focus on looking for opportunities locally or just around you. Put yourself out there, go out there, search, do random searches, reach out to institutions, to other artists, and just have conversations, talk about collaborating with them, ask them how they do the things they do, how they get specific opportunities. I find that that is something that a lot of artists are shy about. I don't know, a lot of creatives are very proud. So they do not want to like have those conversations with other artists. They do not want to ask how they're getting specific gigs or jobs or how they're getting money to fund their creativity. I think it's very important that you develop the courage to have conversations like that with other artists. Like send them a DM. What's the worst that'll happen? They won't respond. But if they respond, you get more knowledge, you have more insights to how they do things they do, and you expand your craft as a creative.
Yeah, thank you for that. I think, yeah, the worst thing, perhaps the worst thing that could happen is not that they respond. Like you said, there are some arrogant creatives. I think there's a God complex that comes with being a creator that's, you can't just fulfill your desires by helping people. You need to either beg or crawl to you or something. But I mean, I digress. So I think the next question is still on portfolio. What do I need to have in my portfolio to be taken seriously by Nigerian brands as an illustrator? I guess beyond the pictures, beyond the just the actual display of the work, what else could that person have in their portfolio to be taken seriously by Nigerian brands as an illustrator?
A lot of Nigerian brands like to know that what they are reaching out to you for, you've done it before. Now, there are people that have not had opportunities to do paid work with other brands, and I always say that you should give yourself personal projects. If you do not have like a portfolio or like a work to show that you've done with other brands or other artists, doesn't have to be. You can just give yourself a project. It was something I was taught how to do in uni. you can draft a project or a brief for yourself and create around that brief and then put your process on your portfolio. I feel like a lot of people just want to feel confident enough that you can do what they're asking you to do. And if they know that you are able to do it, whether you've done it with a brand before or not, I think it will give them more confidence that they can reach out to you for that thing. I think that's just a short answer.
Yeah, thank you very much for that. So I think still on growth and your proper display of your work. I'm a young artist. I'm just starting out. I feel like I have the talent or the potential. How can I grow as a young artist? What are the things I need to do to be able to accomplish success in the industry?
Um, As a young artist, I would say the first thing you should do is develop your skills or develop your craft. I think a lot of artists are in such a hurry to sell or to make a lot of money. And because of that, and because it seems easy, you you find yourself comparing your work to other people's work and saying, no, their works are not even as good as mine and they are doing all of that. Well, you people are different people and you have like different lives and different journeys. But I would always say the first thing you should do is grow your skill. Be really, really good at what you do. Practice a lot, be consistent. Um, because it's very easy for young artists to be taken advantage of. And if you are not confident in your craft or confident that you can do what you are positioning yourself to do, a lot of people are going to take advantage of you. So you need to grow your craft. You need to be really good at what you do, and then you need to be really loud about what you do as well. You need to be able to put your things out there without shame. We right now all we really have as creators is social media. And there's a lot happening on social media. A lot of people get distracted. Our attention span has reduced drastically because there's just so much to look at and so much to take in. So if you're not always in people's faces, there's a possibility that people might sort of forget about you, especially if you're young, that means you're just trying to make your name as an artist. Another thing I would say is not to get intimidated by how people interact with your work, because creating is such a vulnerable act and such a it's like you're pouring out yourself into your work and putting it out there. It's very easy for you to internalize the bad things people say about you, to internalize criticism that is not really valid or does not really apply to what you do. So I would say that you should be cautious of that. You should There's criticism that you should listen to, and then there is you know when someone is just trying to put you down. And I need you to be protective of your space, to protect that space so that things like that do not affect you. I think that is very, very important, especially with social media now. You put out work, you get 2 likes, and you immediately think that your work is bad or your work is not good enough. Um, it's usually not like that. I mean, your work may not be as good, but it does not mean your work is bad. Sometimes it means that you are just not connecting to your audience or you've not reached your audience. Sometimes it means that, I mean, of course, you still have a lot of work to do, but it does not mean that you are a failure. Um, so I think that's very important to know.
Yeah, I think creative work is so subjective. So sometimes it's difficult to get. We do something. So I'm a writer myself, so you do something, you put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into it, it doesn't get any reaction. And then maybe you do something that doesn't even take you time at all, and then oh, people like it, and you're like, okay, but the one I put time and attention in is the one I want you guys to like. Why don't you like this one? Why do you like that one? So there's a lot of subjectivity that goes into it that it's kind of difficult to rely on public opinion for as the barometer of your success. So I
Yeah.
mean, so
And sorry,
the question.
I need to add one more thing, because I've also found that when that happens, where you put out work that you do not particularly like and it gets a lot of attention, you feel pressured to put out more work like that. To ride the wave of like what's the word? Is it the trend or the wave of blowing or getting a hit tweet or a hit Instagram post, and you want to do it over and over again. And because of that, you find yourself neglecting what you really want to create because you now want to continue to keep that attention. It's nice, it's sweet, it makes you feel really, really good. So you're going to do everything to make sure you ride that wave. And I want to say that it's a dangerous, I want to say that it's a dangerous path to follow. Um, because you just find yourself lost and you find yourself attaching your validation or attaching your value as an artist to whether it is getting a lot, your work is getting a lot of attention or interaction or not. You find yourself now creating for other people. If you like to create with red and then you randomly make something that is blue and post it, and what is blue is getting more attention, you continue to create what is blue and you neglect what you really like, which is creating something that is red. And at the end of the day, you find yourself looking for the soul of your creations, looking for, you cannot connect to the motive of why you started in the first place. And people now say, oh, you should probably paint with pink. And then you start to paint with pink. Are you painting for yourself or are you painting for people? And most times when this thing even happens, it's not like you're not getting money. It's really just attention. Sometimes it leads to sales. Sometimes it leads to like commissions and all of that. But when people see these things and they even reach out to you for commissions, they reach out to you for commissions based on that thing that you've put out that you do not necessarily want or like to draw. It's not necessarily something that you like to create. It's not how you want to be seen as an artist. And you continue to do work, and before you know it, you've lost yourself. So that's something to be very, very cautious about as well.
Yeah, and just to piggyback off that, there's something that my writing teacher always tells me that you don't owe it to people to be honest to them. You should be honest to yourself. Do the things that you actually set out to do as a writer or as an artist, as a creative. Reflect, go within yourself and create for that purpose. You're not creating for the audience, you're creating for yourself. Yes, of course, you need the audience to pay for it and then keep the lights over your head, but regardless, the creativity, the process of creation is about yourself. So I think it's very important that creatives don't forget that in their process. So yeah, so moving on from that, I think you touched on pricing. So I want to follow up on that. So how did you approach pricing your work in the early stages of your career, and how do you approach pricing of your work now?
Pricing is such a tricky subject to talk about. Of course, at the beginning of my career, my pricing was rubbish. I was doing a lot of free work and underpricing myself because I just wanted to like make money from it, and it felt nice. Even if someone offered me like very rubbish money to do work, I'll still feel like, wow, this talent of mine is bringing me money. It's bringing me value. But at some point, you find I don't want to say that people are bad or inherently bad, but everybody wants a good deal. If you always underprice yourself and people think you're cheap, whether or not you do great work that they feel like they should pay more for, they will pay your cheap price for it. So I feel like with pricing yourself and your skills is something you have to have a very honest conversation about with yourself. You also have to do research. What are people that create work like you? What are they pricing at? Does it apply to the region? What are people in Nigeria pricing their works at? What are people abroad pricing their works at? Do you want to apply that price to the people in Nigeria? Do you want to try to see if it works? If it doesn't work, you find a balance, or you just try a lot of things, explore a lot of things. If you feel like you're underpricing yourself, then you are underpricing yourself. That's just it. Don't ask any other person. If you feel like the amount of work you're putting into a project is too small or it's too much for the money you are getting, then it means that you are being underpaid. So increase your fees. One thing that comes with increasing your fees is that, of course, you're not getting more commissions. I don't know if it's something you should do at the beginning of your career. At the beginning of your career, I'm not going to say, I'm not saying, when people say, oh, do free work, these are just like, I mean, you can decide to do free work, but it shouldn't be something you do all the time. At some point, you need to stop. When you increase your fees, I mean, naturally, your demands will slightly reduce. But what that thing does is that it only brings you a group of people, a clientele, a client that really, really want your work and they will pay for your process as well. Another thing I would always advise creators to do is to have some sort of an agreement, a contract guiding how they create for other people, saying that this fee that I have told you only covers a number of revision slots. This fee covers a period of time because you do not want to find yourself. starting something, and then when you get to the middle of the project, they've changed their minds, and then you have to start again. It puts a strain on your creative process, puts a strain on you as a person and as a creator. You should have been making money from another person during that time, and now you're doing double work for the price of one. So having that having a contract, having agreements in place to say, oh, if you're paying me 100K, 100K covers two revision slots. If you want another revision slot, you're going to have to pay extra. If it takes me 2 weeks to typically do type of work and you want it done in 2 days, you are going to pay extra because this means that I am going to leave all the remaining work I'm doing and focus on your work. Um, a lot of creators, I feel like creators need to consider their time very valuable. It is like time is literally one of the most expensive things to pay for. You need to consider your time valuable. I feel like because it comes easy to us to create, or easy to some of us to create specific work, we don't think like it's worth a lot. But like just have conversations, go out there, see people, see what other people are pricing their works at, people that are not even as good as you, and take that hint. Whether it comes easy to you because you've had years and years and years and years of practice. You didn't just wake up and get the skill that you currently have. And you need to consider that when you're also pricing yourself. So I cannot say that, oh, if you're going to create a portrait, price yourself as this. I can say that how much do people um, price portraits at? Do you think you're at their skill level? This person that is, or most of the people that reach out to you for portraits, where are they from? Should I price at their market value or my market value? Yeah, have sit down and draw up like a plan and draw up like I also would not advise people to have specific rate cards because it's process of creating things, creation is very, very flexible. Having a particular amount for something that may sort of develop into something that is more complex, you find out that you're shooting yourself in the foot. So I always say have a starting price. So if maybe portraits will you charge maybe 150K for portraits, or the max amount of money you ever want to charge for portraits is maybe 300K, you should say that you start at maybe 200K and above. Another thing that I would say is that you should always ask customers or clients for their budgets. When they reach out to you and they say they want to do something, ask them if they have a budget. Because sometimes their budgets will be way beyond what you'd normally charge. That way, you get an idea of how much people are willing to pay for what you do. That will also affect how you price your work and how you communicate with customers or clients in the nearest future. So the first thing I always do when people reach out and they say, "Oh, how much?" Even if they reach out and they say, "How much would it cost you to do this?" and I reach out and I'm like, "Oh, what's your budget?" So I go and say, I say it's 100K and you want to pay me 1 million now. How will I know? So I always ask for their budgets. If their budget is below what I'll usually charge, then I proceed to say, oh, your budget is below this. Are you able to be more flexible? Are you able to adjust your budget? If they say no, and I really want to work on that project, I can reach a compromise. So if you want, for example, an illustration of a man and 5 kids, and you tell me that you only have money for maybe a man and one person, I will say, okay, this is what I will do. Why not, instead of a full body illustration of this man, why not do portraits, just their heads and their 5 children? So that way I'm not spending too much money, too much time on creating the process, so on creating the work, and it's still money I feel is worth my time. So it's tricky, but it's also something you gain with experience. There's no one size fit all for pricing your work as a creative.
Yeah, I mean, thank you so much for that answer. That was very insightful. Well, I think this a follow-up from me. So I wanted to ask, how do you approach interpretation of your work? Because you want to do something for someone, and they say, "Oh, I want this to be beautiful. I want this to be this. I want it to be that," without actually digging deep into the details of what they actually want from you. And then you create something there, like, "Oh, this is not what I wanted you to do," and then you go back, you do something else again, you be like, "Oh, this is not what wanted you to do." How do you approach that subjectivity and creativity so that there's not too much disparity between what you actually create and what the client actually wants from you?
I'm muted.
No, you're muted. You're still muted. Yeah.
Okay, good. That's a really good question. I feel like the only way to explore that is by asking a lot of questions. People are not always open about what they want. Sometimes when people reach out to artists to create something for them, they are not sure. They have an idea of what they want. It is now your responsibility as an artist or illustrator to dig deeper, to try to understand what exactly you want. If you don't do that, you're going to be shooting yourself in the foot. So if they say they want something beautiful, ask them what does beauty would like when what do you consider beautiful? If you want you to draw a beautiful, if they come to you and they're like, I want you to draw a beautiful girl, and then like you ask them, oh, is this does this girl have an afro? Does this girl have straight hair? Is this girl dark skin? Is she light skin? What's the personality of this girl? Is she vibrant? Is she a tomboy? Is she cool? Is she laid back? When you ask these questions and they answer, you are getting more information to guide you, and you know what to create. Um, Basically, yeah, it's just clear communication. A lot of people don't know what they want, and you sort of have to force it out of them. Um, if they say they want the girl's outfit to be vibrant and warm, ask them, well, like yellow, orange, what red, and they'll say, oh, no, 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 not yellow, not orange, oh, but so you by that from that conversation, you know that the girl's clothes should not be yellow or orange, so you explore other options. So just ask a lot of questions. When people reach out to me to draw characters, book covers, anything, I have a long list of questions that I send to them. If they do not answer those questions, then I just conclude that they don't want to work with me. But I also explain why I'm asking those questions. It's usually because I want to reduce the back and forth, and I sort of coin it in a way that says that I really want to create excellent work for you. And for me to do this, you need to answer these questions to help me give you what exactly you want. And when you sort of convince them or talk to them that way, and they know that it is for their own benefit, they are more willing to provide you with the information you need.
All right. Thank you very much. So I want to take you back to the creative process and creating itself because I think that's still the most important thing for to people on this call. So what does the creative day look like for you? I know you mentioned that you sometimes you have to, set aside time to create. So what does the productive creative day look like for you? And how do you approach it? So does it mean that um if you is it a mood thing? Like even though you have to set aside time for it, does it mean that okay, if you're in a good mood today, you do a lot. If you're in a bad mood today, you can't do so much. So how do you approach creativity on a daily basis?
A productive creative day for me is one where I am really into what I'm creating. Like I'm really, really into it. I'm enjoying it, and there's progress on my painting. I've been exploring a lot of traditional artworks now, and I've experimented a couple of things. Something that has talked to me right now that I really enjoy is journaling. So before I start creating for myself or for a client, I journal. Journaling can just be how I'm feeling, what is going through my head, if like am I feeling down? Am I really excited about this? And at the end of the because I told you I have specific times when I create, it's for like 2 3 hours max in a day because I don't have any more hours to give. If you have more flexibility, you don't know what God has done for you. But these days, I don't have that much time to create. And then after creating, I also journal. It sort of helps you to streamline your process because it's like if at the beginning you were thinking about something, it would be nice to see that at the end you've changed what you were thinking about. You are now tilting towards another thing. You use these colors instead of this colors because this color made you feel that way. So a productive creative day in summary is a day when I create something that when there's progress really. It doesn't have to be something that I like or not, but as long as there's progress, I'm able to journal. I'm able to um, do something more than what I started with. I feel like that is productive for me, and because of the amount of workloads that I'm currently handling. For you, it can be different. Can be when you're able to create three paintings in a day, or when you're able to create five sketches in a day. For me, it's just getting work done and being able to talk about my work, or just like narrate my experience of creating the work in my journal.
All right.
And also, it's not
Thank
every
you
time
very.
I feel like
Oh, sorry.
creating. Some on days that I don't feel like creating, I still force myself to create. But it does not make it a less productive creative day. The fact that I'm even creating when I don't want to create means it's extra productive.
Yeah, so that was going to be my next question actually, because in my writing class, there's something that's as my mentor taught me was that okay, if you are trying to create something, you need to have a process around it, such that if you hit the creative wall, you hit the creative block, you still have the processes in place to be able to create. So when you feel stuck, when you feel like nothing is coming today, like you try, nothing is happening, but how do you still move forward even when you're stuck? Because there are deadlines, there are people you have to submit to, there are people, there are things, there are people waiting for you. So on days you feel stuck, on the days you feel like you don't feel like creating, how do you still make progress?
That's a really, really good question. So I'm going to categorize it into two different segments: when I'm creating for myself and when I create for clients. When I create for clients, I one thing I've learned is not to communicate. I communicate deadlines that, for example, if something is going to take me 2 days to do, I tell them it's going to take me 2 weeks to 3 weeks to do, because I know that there are times that I would want to create and I won't be able to create. And I give space for moments like that. I know I've spoken about communication a couple of times before. So if it happens that I'm just not able to give myself to the work so that I can create something really good, I'm communicating with the clients that, look, this is what's happening. I'm not going to, of course, not tell them what I'm going through, but I'll just ask for more time. Something came up. Is it okay if we move the deadline by 3 days? Is it okay if we move the deadline by 2 days? Um, but then you can only do this with someone that from the beginning, you know which client is patient and which clients wants it now. I do not take work that's when clients trying to rush me, when they're trying to rush me and say, "Oh, I should do it now, no, 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 no," I'm most likely not going to take the job, because I'm managing a lot of things, and then I just don't like being rushed. So with clients like that, I guess you just have to like push through it and just create something. Unfortunately, it might not be your best work, but sometimes work that we consider not so good is really good to other people, so they might not notice. But usually, when it comes to client work, I try to communicate that I would like to ask for extra time. I'd like to do this, and I also communicate a bigger time frame, or a broader time frame than what it usually take for me to create that work. When it is personal, when I'm creating my personal work and I have creative blocks, I do a couple of things. I leave it for a few hours and visit on another day, or I just paint like that. I just put whatever it is on the canvas and see where it leads me to. Because sometimes it's not that you are unable to create at that moment. It's maybe that your subconscious does not like the direction you are going and you need to experiment with more things. So a lot of people are like, oh, when you're experiencing creative blocks, just leave it and go and do other things. Yes, that is a good solution. But sometimes you do that, you come back and the block is still there. You're not able to progress. But by experimenting, trying other different things on that same project, you find something that is more exciting for you, that may change the direction that you initially started with, and that might snap you out of your block.
All right. Thank you very much. Because I think it just gets to a point where you've created enough. Sometimes you just do it. Like even if you're stalled, just have that belief in yourself because you've done a lot of work already. That sometimes even the baseline of effort that you put into it is still good. So just do it, and then hopefully it turns out well. Okay, so I think also ask a bit of a different question. I think I've been asking you about things that you do or things that you've started doing to help your creative journey. But what are some of the things that you stopped doing that helps your creative process, that helps your creative journey throughout your career?
That's a really good question. Something I've stopped doing is that I've stopped sacrificing my sleep. Ugh, a lot of creatives do not rest. We do not rest. And I used to be that person that would work from um what 11 p.m. to 4 a.m. sometimes, and then I'll sleep during the day. And then the next day, my day will start by like 12 p.m. or 1 p.m. The day is already gone. I'm not able to do anything because I'm not getting sleep at night. I'm not productive during the day. So one thing I've stopped doing is I've stopped working at night. Um, these days, I explore working in the afternoon or working in the morning, um, when there is just vibrant energy around me. I mean, it's something that I did when I was younger, and I think it's something that you are able to do when you're younger. But at some point, as you are growing, you need to prioritize your health. And if you're always creating at night, you realize that is not good for your health as well. So that's something I really stopped doing. I've also stopped taking work that will drain me. From the conversation that you always know, from conversation that you have with potential clients, who will be problematic and who will not be problematic, who will stress you and who will not, who will respect your process and who will not. When I'm having those conversations and I realize that this person has no respect for my process, they sort of just want to get this thing done, they don't care how you get it done, they don't care about the details, they don't even have details to give you, I do not do the work. Now, I understand that I am speaking from a place of privilege. I can afford not to do the work. But if it's something that you can afford to let go of, it will really help you, um, with the kind of work you produce, the kind of work you create, and even how you interact with the work you do. Because when you keep creating work that stresses you out as a creative, you lose the spark. You just realize that you don't like drawing again, or you don't like painting again, or you don't like creating characters again. It is because you've been consistently forced, or you forced yourself to do work that you do not enjoy, or work that does not challenge you. And so this is not to say you should only do work that you know. You should also do work that you don't know. Like if someone reaches out to you and says, "Oh, can you do this?" and you genuinely feel like this is something you can learn to do or do on the job, and it's a challenge you, it's exciting. I absolutely feel like you should take the job. But you always know work that will drain you. And if you continue to take on work that will drain you as a creative, you will hate what you are doing because you associate that draining energy to the work you do. And that's how a lot of creatives lose their spark and they stop creating.
Okay, so slight follow-up. So have you ever lost your spark before? Have you had to take a break? Have you ever had to leave creating for some time before you now found your spark again?
Yeah, absolutely. It's something that usually happens when it is time to explore other styles or explore another thing within this space. I just stop creating. It's even happened recently. Like I'm just getting back into my creative flow. I've not been putting work out there. This does not mean that I've not been experimenting or creating. I've just not been putting it out there. And it's because I am currently at a point where I feel like it is time to explore something different. It is time to try something else. I started creating portraits. So people started to reach out to me for portraits. And I started to create portraits that I'm not necessarily interested in. So I lost interest in creating portraits. Do you understand? So it's basically what I just explained. So me saying that you should sort of navigate or thread carefully, I'm speaking from my own experience because if it was something I knew before, I would have found a way to balance it out more, found a way to explore it better. Um, but yes, definitely, it's something I have experienced and it's something I'm currently even trying to sort of snap out on.
No, no. Thank you very much. So, something that you touched on that I want to use as a segue for the next question about um how how you create for yourself. I think it's important. One thing I learned in the writing class I mean is that you should never be afraid to create. Like publishing, putting your work out there is a different thing from actually doing the work. And I think it's important that that process is catharsis, it's reflection, it's very important to you. So create, do the things that you need to do for yourself. Now, whether you should publish it or not, or how you should publish it is something that's entirely. So my question is, how do you balance creating for yourself versus creating for an audience?
That's the tough one. Because I want to say that I do not recommend creating for an audience, but there are benefits to creating for an audience. It will connect you to a larger audience, and a larger audience expands your pool of getting profits, like of where you get profits from as a creative. So how do I balance it? I balance it, or what I found myself doing right now is not dismissing studies or unfinished work or work that I would usually not create. At some point in my art career, I found myself obsessing about details. If it's not perfect, then it is not good work. If I stop midway or I use different colors from what my audience knows me for, then I consider it not like it's just a random thing that I created is not that good and all of that. So I sort of devalue and talk down on what I've created because it is not my style. It's not something that an audience or my audience knows me for. So how I've sort of navigated that is by doing all those little fun things that other people don't see. Like if I want to go out and sketch a chicken, I'm gonna sketch that chicken and chicken is for me. If I want to put it out there, okay. If I don't want to put it out there, okay. Another thing I've noticed is that your audience will, if they're truly your people, right? If they truly like your work, they will appreciate whatever you put out there, really. They will notice that it is different from what you would really create or what you would usually create, but it is still from you. And that makes all the difference. So yeah, I would strongly advise about obsessing about creating fan audience. I think it is very dangerous as a creative. It is very dangerous. You will lose yourself. This does not only apply to artists or visual artists, even musicians. If you track the journey of different musicians, you know when they started creating for themselves. If you look at them and you see when they consistently do the same thing for an audience, they go on like a very long break because they are now trying to find themselves again. So while that is good, I think you should be very conscious about how you feel when you're creating. When you're creating, are you thinking, oh, this is what I like? Or are you thinking, oh, this is what will get more likes? Or this is what will get more views? Or this is what other people will like more? And you need to catch yourself and literally stop. Like, stop doing it. Another thing I've noticed is that when you start to create for an audience, they have such a huge opinion on what you should create. Oh, let's see that in green instead. I don't like it in red. I want to see it in yellow. And sometimes when I see things like that, I'm just like, when did this one start? An artist is putting out their work and you are telling them not to create the way they are creating because you prefer to see it in another form, and then the artist does it. And you are literally setting yourself up for failure. It's not going to work. You should create what you want and show it to people if you want, and they should accept it. Except if maybe a part of you had felt that you wanted to create or explore creating it another way. That's the only time I feel like you should take that feedback. But asking strangers, people that don't know you, people that don't know your process, for ways to create specific things, things that you are giving birth to, things that are coming from you, is a dangerous path to follow. So you should also find that balance as well when interacting with your audience.
Well, thank you very much. So I have about three, four, some fun questions for you to answer. And please, everyone, this is a chance to remind you if you have any questions for Morenike, please put it in the chat. We'll circle back in the next, I think, 10, 15 minutes so that we can let her go because I've been very, very gracious with that time. So yes, what is one tool you can't live without? And just on your day to day, on your creative process, what is one tool you can't live without? Sorry, I'm muted.
Great. Sorry, I'm always doing this. One tool that I cannot live without. This one is hard though, on my day-to-day life. Does it have to be a drawing tool?
Anything,
Does it have to?
anything.
Oh, then my phone. Then my phone. I think I can't do without my phone. I don't sketch on my phone, but I jot down ideas. I have a journal that I carry about, but it's not always convenient. But definitely my phone. I'm seeing what people are doing. I'm getting inspired by them on my phone, and I'm able to like generate new ideas and quickly just type it on my notepad. If we're going to talk about specifically for creating, specifically for drawing, one tool I cannot do without is my pencil. You can always find paper everywhere. You can just like ask someone for paper, or like sometimes there's a difference between writing down an idea and visualizing it and sketching it down. It's another thing I like to tell a lot of illustrators that they need to carry sketch pads about. You can carry your iPad about and all of that, but I usually don't suggest it. It's just like the how the brain processes reading pages and reading on your phone, or typing ideas on your phone and writing it down. It sort of always sticks when you do it traditionally. So it's something I'll advise people to do if you can. Just have those traditional sketches, like write those things down traditionally. Bring out paper, do a quick sketch, put it in your pocket. You find that it has stuck. You will remember that that is something you want to develop in future.
Yeah, I think it's maybe it's a millennial thing or a baby boomer thing, but I feel like the art of writing is kind of dying. I think the more we go along, because we learned on pen and paper, and we went to school with pen and paper, so we can't detach from that process. But I think for the perhaps younger generation, I'm not so sure if they are that keen on actually writing things, and then they might actually prefer an Apple Pencil or something that's actually sketching the pencil itself. Or we'll see.
And I,
So
and,
what's
and and I hate to sound like this older auntie or this millennial, but I also feel like I also feel like that is why a lot of them sort of struggle to commit to ideas. I'm not blaming them, but it is just the generation that they've grown up with. They are exposed to so much. So writing traditionally or just doing these things, it makes a whole lot of difference. It's just it sort of sticks with you. You just because you how do I explain it? Because this is something you when you draw traditionally, when you write traditionally, you you are aware that you can make mistakes and you're comfortable with those mistakes. Now, the journey of creating, memorizing, developing ideas, a lot of people think or associate mistakes with failure, but it's really just part of the journey. The mistakes that you make when you do these things, those mistakes are not ops. They birth new ideas, they give you direction. And so when you do that traditionally, it sticks. It's just more impactful. It sort of puts it into your body so that when you are not ready to create based on that idea again, it just flows naturally. That's something I and if you can experiment with it and let me know how it's going or if I'm lying, we can have a conversation about it.
No, I think there's just a thing about your muscles having done something before. It's like they are learning it, and then when you have to do it again, it's just like you're remembering how to do it. I think just writing things down, nothing can replace that experience, really. Typing on your phone or typing on your keyboard, type on your laptop, it's a different thing. Like, it's just a different thing for me. So, okay, so what is one creative myth you would want to debunk?
Say that again.
So, what is one creative myth you want to debunk?
Oh, that all of us are drug users. When I started my creative journey, it was something, or when I informed my family that this was something I wanted to do, it was something they were all scared of that. This child is about to take cocaine. Like, so they just say, like, they think that creatives are crazy people. It is so annoying. It is so annoying because I thought this was something that happened in my father's time because my father is also creative. So something he said was that when he said he wanted to practice art, and a lot of people were like, you be a useless child, you have dreadlocks, you did it, you did that, and you be a drug user and all of that. And I cannot believe that now it is still the same. people just assume creatives are just like people that are not serious about their lives. They're just on vibes, everything. They're always high. Um, so I think that's the. I know a lot of. I'm around a lot of creatives that just doing everything naturally and trying to just live their lives and push everything out. So no, I think it's definitely a myth. I don't think all creatives are drug users. And I think I find it very insulting sometimes when people are shocked that I do not participate in the ingestion of substance. They're always like, you say you're drawing. All those people that are drawing, do you know why their artworks look that way? It's because they are smoking, they are inhaling cocaine, and like, that's their business. So we are not interested. So it's definitely a myth.
I think it really depends on where you find your creativity from. I think for me, what works is I go on walks, I look at people, I study the way they interact with one another, and then I get experiences and inspiration from there. I guess some people do get it from smoking or taking cocaine or something like that. But I think it's just people take drugs, people create. There's a cross section of people that take drugs that are also doctors, that are also accountants, that are also in every walks of life. It's not really a
Yeah.
creative thing. Yeah, it's not really a creative thing.
I
So
have something to say. I have something to say. Me, I personally believe that I can't believe I'm sounding like an auntie. Anyway, I personally believe I personally believe that it is dangerous for you to rely on these substances for creativity. The difference between us and people that practice other professions is that I don't want to say that the products of their work is not born out of them, but it is a completely different journey and a completely different process. I feel like a lot of artists are their work and their self are one. They cannot detach from their work. You A lot of people say, oh, separating an artist from their work. It's usually not the experience for a lot of artists. They are their work, right? So when they are dependent on these things, I'm not saying if you want to smoke, like you should not smoke. I mean, that's your business. You should smoke if you want to smoke, do whatever you want to do to get that inspiration. But if you find that you cannot create without doing it, it is a problem. I genuinely think it's a problem that you need to pay attention to. Because what happens when those things are not accessible or when they are not available, then you are less of a creative. That is, it's not really something you want to have to deal with. It's bad for you, it's bad for your creative process.
yeah, I think that is what addictions are. They become a crutch for you to stand on. So for you to lean on. So you can't do anything without it. You need it to function. You need it to be successful. And once it's absent, I mean, yeah, like in chaos. So and it's a very dangerous crutch. So I think it's better to just be natural. That is the most sustainable way to create for the rest of your life. Okay. Two more questions on this our quick fire session. One piece of advice you give your 18-year-old creative self.
One piece of advice I will give my when I was 18, where was I? That was like 10 years ago or over 10 years ago. That is crazy. Um, one piece of advice I will give my 18-year-old self is to not be in a hurry to find my style. I think when someone starts their creative journey, they obsess about their brand, like their style. I want people to know about me for this. So I want it's when it's nice. I mean, it feels cool when people look at work and they're like, oh, this is this thing or this is this person's work. It's very, very cool, but I don't think it's something that you rush into or something that you force. It is something that happens. And it's something that happens with time and with practice. It's something that you find yourself doing, and sometimes you don't even know you have a style. How people started to mention, or how I knew I had a style, was that random people would just be like, "Oh, this looks like Morenike's work," and I'm like, "How do you know that this is my work?" And they're like, "Oh, you have a style." I'm like, "Oh, wow, interesting." So it says, don't put yourself under pressure. I'll tell myself, don't put yourself under pressure. Just keep being consistent and doing what you're doing, and it will just come. It's part of the journey.
All right, thank you. Final quick fire question is what is one current thing that you are learning or unlearning right now in your creative journey?
Can you please say that again?
You're saying what is one current thing that you're learning or unlearning in your creative journey?
Okay, something that I'm currently learning in my creative journey is to create just for the sake of it. Um, I studied graphic design in uni. So everything had to be for a purpose. If you're going to change how something looks, you need to be able to explain why it should look that way. That was how I was taught how to be creative. And now I used to be so jealous of people that would just like create like random things and random shapes and just put it out there and just like, what does this mean? How are you so bold, courageous enough to just put this unfinished thing that I'm sure a lot of people do not understand out there? How are you so bold to explore putting yellow and an odd color together? And I think it's a very courageous. I feel like artists that do that are the artists that are truly living freely because they've learned how not to care about what people think. They've learned how to just enjoy create the creative process or the process of creating artworks. And that's something I'm currently learning slash unlearning. I'm unlearning obsessing about details and obsessing about, I mean, it's different when you're doing client work. You have to obsess about the details. That's what they're paying you for. But if you're doing personal work, or if when I'm doing personal work, I'm unlearning that. I'm learning how to just create and just do things just because I feel like it. Like I'm making this character's face yellow or blue because I feel like doing it. It does not always have to be brown. There's even a way to depict dark skin or depict light skin without even using the natural colors. I'm also learning that you look at someone, a character, you know that that character is black or that character is a white person just by features, the tone of colors that you explore, the warmth, the coolness, the shades, all of those things. So I'm learning not to obsess about details. I'm learning to just enjoy my creative process and just create random things, to draw things around me. Basically, I'm basically starting from scratch because when I started learning how to draw, that was how I started learning how to draw. So it's something that I'm currently doing that is helping my creative process. I found that I'm starting to really, really get excited about creating.
All right. Thank you very much. And I hope that's excitement never goes away. So thank you. I think those are all the questions from me. Let's just briefly get into the questions from the audience. So the first question I have here is from Grace. She says, I sketch out fashion illustration design using the manual method of hand drawing. I'm also a fashion designer who has made lots of outfits, but don't really have a physical portfolio on those outfits made. I'm also a drape artist. I use plain fabrics to customize outfits on the client's body on at the spot. I'm also a script writer. I compose and draft any kind of script. I'm also a bead maker. I make bead accessories and I use beads to design outfits. I'm a creative artist, and but I do not have a solid physical indication of my creativity. I really want to build my portfolio, but I'm stuck on how to start or go about it. Thank you for this opportunity, and I'm looking forward to hearing from you.
Wow, you're just like me. You do be doing a lot of things. I think that is so, so cool. I think that is very, very cool. Um, ugh, so building because you do a lot of things, it depends on where you want to put that portfolio in or where you want people to be able to see your work on. If you're doing it on a visual platform like Instagram, it's going to be difficult because I've found that the people that have more success with branding and positioning themselves on Instagram have different pages for different things. If this is not something that you want to explore, or this is something you find very chaotic, there are free websites, free platforms out there that allow you to show your different talents or different skills, and then you can sort of put you can put everything on that portfolio on that website, and that sort of shows people how what you do. I also feel like you need to choose something that people want to know you for, or you want people to know you for more. And then that will link them to the other things you do. For example, when I started my creative journey, or when I started being a popular person, people knew me for my art. And now there are different people that know me for other things. They know me for being a model. When people reach out to me outside, they're like, "Oh, you're that model." And then other people say, "Oh, you're the owner of Bawsty." And then other people say, "Oh, you're that fighter, you're the jiu-jitsu." But a lot of people say that I am an artist first. So I think it's important for you to create that brand first around one thing or one or two things. Since you're a drape artist and you're also a fashion illustrator and a fashion designer, you can categorize that into one. So if, let's say, if I say that, if we talk about how you want to present your Instagram now, if you have to like rebrand on your Instagram, I would say that those things sort of fall under one category, which is textile design. So why not make that bead making, drip making, fashion illustrations, and fashion design? All of that can be on your Instagram because it's under the category of fashion design. Then you can now find a way to link it to the other things that you do, script writing and all of that. Um, but yeah, I don't know that you should abandon one for the other if this is really how you want to live your life. I know a lot of people say it's good to specialize and all of that. I mean, there are good parts to it. There are pros and then there are cons. But I feel like if you're truly a multifaceted person like I am, you should explore it. But have one or two things that people know you for, and then communicate the other things that you do through those things that they know you for. Is that good? Is that clear?
Yeah, I think that is clear. And perhaps I just wanted to chip in as well that this would be a good time to segue to say that Vascan has created a product that allows creatives to display their art, display their work, display their portfolio. You can create different portfolios on Vascan. So a portfolio for each different section of creativity that you're exploring. So I mean that will help you still have one dashboard where everything is, and then you can also share independent links for the different, sections of creativity you're exploring. So, I mean, Grace, I think I just dropped the link in the chat for you to go and check it out, and hopefully, and actually, certainly, to be helpful to you in your journey. So the next question from Emmanuel: what has managing your business and your art career taught you about yourself?
I just made a huge loud sigh. Um, one thing that managing my art and my business has taught me about myself is that my body, I'm not a robot. I'm not a robot and I cannot do everything at a very high capacity at the same time. It has taught me to be very, very patient with myself. It has taught me to pace myself. It has taught me to put more structure in my life, to have a routine, to have schedule. Because just freestyling everything does not work. It just does not work because you are only one person. So it has taught me to also be kind to myself, to rest where my body needs rest as well. But top of the list, definitely having a routine. That's taught me to have a routine and stick to the routine.
Okay, thank you very much. And then the last question we have here, hello Morenike, pertaining charging, what's your thoughts on having a local and international price for your works, like charging a naira collector in naira and an international collector in dollars, like 1 million naira as opposed to $1,000, which at the end of the day earns the same value.
So that is a really good question, actually. I think you should have a fixed price. The reason why I say you should have a fixed price is that you do not want to come off as deceptive as a creative, because a good number of creative work comes from recommendation. I do not want a situation where someone recommends you to another person and they realize that you're charging them a different price because they are from another country. That's not going to do good for you. So I'm going to advise that you have a fixed price and then communicate that fixed price across board. Um, For me, what I do is that I have dollars and it's a stronger currency. So if I'm communicating with someone in Nigeria or someone in Africa, I always put the currency equivalent. But my fixed price is my fixed price. If that person were to convert it to another price, it would be the same price for everybody. I think that is a more trustworthy way to explore it. If you're not comfortable, I feel like part of the reason why you are charging Nigerians a specific amount and Americans a specific amount is because you want to earn more or you feel like you can get more. If you feel that you can get more, then then adjust your prices across all board to reflect that, to price yourself higher instead of pricing some people lower and other people higher. I don't know that that is a trustworthy way to explore it. It can be tricky. I understand also pricing at international market value if you are communicating or interacting with international clients, and pricing at local market value if you are doing same. But what's going to happen is people find out your local market price is that they will not want to pay you your international market price. It's just how a lot of people are complaining that a lot of companies are coming to Nigeria to hire because it's lower prices, it's lower salaries they are going to pay. But if they were communicating with people outside Nigeria, they would offer larger prices or offer larger salaries or fees for that same work. So I feel like they should have one price across board, one price that if you convert it, so it is this amount of money and you're able to save in the other currency when you convert it. I think that's the safer and more a better way to do it. It's you need to have when it comes to money and pricing, especially when you're dealing with people that will talk, you need to come off as someone that has integrity. It is very important for your brand in the long run. Now, if you feel like you can get more money or you want to get more money from people, the way to navigate that is by asking for their budget. That way, you can get paid higher than what you would have predicted to get paid. I've had different conversations with artists and even experiences myself where I wanted to charge maybe like $500 for something, and I asked for their budget, and their budget was like $2,500, and I was like, "It's good, I accept it. Yeah, I can work very well with it." So there is that. That is. I feel like that is a better way to explore earning more than having different prices. I don't know that different prices. I don't know that it's good, except if there are situations where you want to really, really work with a brand and you don't mind earning low. Because I know that there are some Nigerians have lower spending power, of course, than people outside the country. So maybe if you see a project or you come across a project that you really, really like, um, and you don't mind getting paid less for, you can take it. But I feel like if you do that, you should also communicate that it is not your fee. Because what spreads fast, what's going to happen is that that person will go and reach out to another person and tell the person, "Oh, just whine in. You will collect that 500K when your fee is maybe 2 million." So that is also something you need to be very cautious about.
Yes, thank you very much, Morenike. Yes, I'll accept the $2,500 too. Um, Anyway, I think that's the last question from us today. Thank you so much for joining us today. We're very grateful for your time, for the honesty that you are used to answer our questions, and with the clarity that you've given every one of us today. I want to say a very big thank you to you. To everyone that sent in their questions, people that also sent in their questions today on the chat, thank you so much. If you didn't get your questions, we really wouldn't know how to go about this session, but we thank you all for sending your questions. It made it a really enjoyable conversation. There's one takeaway from me. I would say that your work deserves structure, it deserves honesty, and it deserves visibility. Make sure you create and make sure that you put the things out there that you're proud of. Now, you're not playing to the gallery, but you are actually playing to your heart's desires. So the two quick things. First of all, just to say that Vascan for Creatives is up, it's live. We would help you to, have the portfolio you need to present your work in front of everyone, anyone, anywhere in the world. And then one second thing is that the video of this session will be up by tomorrow. And everyone that was a part of this session will have it in their email address by tomorrow. So I just want to thank everyone so much for coming. Morenike, thank you so much once again. It was a pleasure to have you with us. Thank you. You're muted, sorry.
I was muted again. I was I was saying thank you so much for having me. And this was
Thank
very
you.
nice. And I had fun just answering the questions. Some of them were tough questions, but yeah, it was fun.
Thank you. Thank you. It was not our intention. Thank you very much. All
All
right
right.
then. Yeah. Enjoy the rest of your day. Bye.
You too. Bye.